The House Committee on Government Operations will come to order. Will the clerk please take attendance?
Chair Liberati.
Here.
Representatives Kaputski. Here. McFall.
Here.
Posthumus.
Here.
Green. Here. Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Representative McFall moves to approve the minutes of the October 18th meeting without objection. So ordered. First up, we're going to be taking testimony on House Bills 5272 through 5275. Speaking on the four-bill package will be Representative Carter. Whenever you're ready.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the governmental. Start that over. Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the Government Operations Committee for a chance to speak on bill package House Bills 5272 through 5275. The people of Michigan approved Proposal 1 in 2022 by a 2-to-1 margin. We have proposed legislation to implement strong financial disclosure requirements and adhere to the voices of Michiganders. This bill package takes accountability to another level of transparency and is an example of what listening to voters looks like in a democratic process. This is clear, strong public support for added ethics, transparency, and accountability in our state government and across the nation and in Michigan, and we're here to get it done. House Bills 5272 through 75 implement the guidelines and requirements of financial disclosure for public officers and/or candidates for public office. The legislature was charged with the implementation of Proposal 1 by December 31st of this year. We were not charged with limiting or restricting the reporting requirements, but with the implementation of the legislation to require reporting. Briefly, to that end, House Bill 5272 creates the Public Officers Disclosure Act. The first filing under Prop 1 would be due April 15th, same time as taxes, 2024, then May 15th annually thereafter. House Bill 5273 creates the Candidate for Office Disclosure Act, requiring a candidate for the same public office to file an annual disclosure report with the Secretary of State due May 15th, 2024, and each May 15th thereafter. House Bills 5274 and 5275 both amend the Michigan Campaign Finance Act and collectively allow the candidate committee to make an expenditure for late filing fees resulting from the late filing of the required financial disclosure report under the newly created laws for either public officers and/or candidates, Office Financial Disclosure Acts. These bills do not duplicate what is asked of public officers and/or candidates when filing campaign finance reports. Rather, the financial disclosure requirement in this package seeks to expand transparency. Michigan is just one of only 2 states that don't require financial disclosure for public officers like legislators and other public officials. This legislation would bring our state into better governance and more transparency and put our state in step with other peers in the national political landscape. Finally, this package puts the people of Michigan first by implementing their wishes after passing rules that hold candidates and officials accountable. The people who give elected officials their voice, their vote of confidence, and trust to represent their best interests in the democratic process deserve transparency. They deserve to know about the financial and economic relationships a public officer and/or candidate for offices may have for the sake of avoiding conflicts of interest and other impropriety, including illegal and unethical spending or lobbying interests. This package of legislation will have a positive impact on public policy here in the state. This is about protecting democracy and shoring up the integrity and ethics in Michigan politics. I urge your support in the implementation of Proposal 1 as presented in House Bills 5272 through 5275. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Questions?
All right. I want to thank you, Representative Carter. Thank you for your presentation. And it's actually great. I love what you said. So I have in my hand the fiscal analysis of the ballot Proposal 1. And just the ballot language itself says, the proposed constitutional amendment would require the legislature, the governor, the lieutenant governor, the secretary of state, and the attorney general file an annual public financial disclosure reports after 2023, including assets, liabilities, income sources, future employment agreements, gifts, travel reimbursements, and positions held in organizations except religious, social, and political organizations. The other two bullets talk about what you already stated and then talk about the term limits. I am concerned that the bills that you presented don't reflect everything that we promised the voters. There was an overwhelming proposal 1 won, and I guess I'm concerned that we're not really diving in deep on gifts, on travel, and the assets, and especially the assets of our spouses and our children as well, because it's very easy to move those assets under somebody else's name in our immediate family. And I'm just genuinely concerned that these bills are not what the ballot language and what people voted on are asking us to do. I know this is hard because we're being very vulnerable. I, as a candidate, just like you, everybody sitting here, I don't want people to know all my stuff and my business, but at the same time, they asked us to do this, and this was part of when we ran, and knowing that this would win, we knew we were going to have to disclose these items. So I'm going to pause and let you answer, because
Okay, so what we have now is nothing. And the voters requested and required that we have something. We have a blank canvas. What this does is give us an opportunity to have something on there. This is not the end. This is a beginning, because we had to start somewhere. So we started with the meat and potatoes, and this will give us an opportunity to amend these, add things on that may not be in there at this time.
Do you honestly believe that we're going to all get together and then work on this again? We're here in November. We're about to end our session, at least rumor has it, and where we could potentially have 2 colleagues leave us. And so this is our one shot right now to get this done before we end our, who knows what could happen after next Tuesday. So I guess I'm genuinely concerned that these bills don't go far enough and they don't address what the voters asked us to do.
Well, let us not let perfection be the enemy of progress.
I understand.
We have nothing now, and I think that doing this will provide that coverage that Proposal 1 required.
You don't think Proposal 1 required, though, that our family members and especially our spouses who live with us, reside with us, share homes with us, would be also. Now, I guess, let me be clear. I would never want to disclose a spouse's specific salary, because I would not want to negate their negotiations and their job performance as well. But when we have assets that can directly impact the decisions that we make here in Lansing, significant financial impacts, don't you think that the public should know that?
I mean, the reality is, if we're going to have an honest conversation, relationship with spouses and children are not boundaries. I mean, there can be other relationships that people have that aren't documented. So we have nothing at this point. There's always a back door to any room. If somebody wants to find a way to do something, we're trying to close as many doors and windows as possible right now.
Okay. They're lucky. I love that they sent you. They knew how to get to me by sending him, because I love that guy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the presentation. I appreciate it. I'm glad we have something to start the process forward. Was curious. So prior to as most people know, I'm a farmer, but also I did political consulting. I had a consulting firm on my own, and so while that business isn't in operation any longer, it's still technically there as an entity. Is there anything in this package that would prevent me from taking on as a client into that business a company that could then later on do business before the House, requesting for state contracts, things of that nature? Is there anything preventing that or requiring disclosure of that?
I think you have to disclose that if you're going to financially gain from any of this. And not only should it say that, but I think the public has the right to know if you're going to come up here and vote on contracts that will enrich you or somebody you care about.
Absolutely.
So we have nothing now. I think that this is a huge step forward because we all read the newspapers. And we just want to go home and have great conversations about the things we're doing right up here. not as opposed to if one person does it, then we all get painted with that. So at least we have some standard, whereas now we have none. So if you have that going on, I would say to you, disclose that.
Well, I don't. To be very clear, I do not. Like I said, it's been vacant for the last 3.5, 4 years. But so to be clear, if anybody has a company with clients that are doing business with the state, specifically requesting state contracts, that has to be disclosed according to the legislation as written.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, committee.
I'm going to read in, I have 3 cards. In support of the package, Aaron Shore from MDOS, not wishing to speak. Opposed to the bill, not wishing to speak. Camden Weber from Next Gen America. And also opposing the bill, not wishing to speak, Quentin Turner, Common Case, Michigan. Representative Putsky has a substitute for House Bill 5272.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My substitute would just, in an effort to improve the transparency, it would require that a public officer's spouse disclose their employer, not just their occupation. And it also specifies that they must disclose whether or not they are a registered lobbyist agent or a registered lobbyist. It also changes some of the late filing fees and things like that. But that's the gist of it, and I move that we take it up for a vote.
All right, Representative Putsky moved to adopt H1 substitute for House Bill 5272. Can the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion of adopting the substitute, Chair Liberati.
Yes.
Representatives Pohutsky.
Yes.
McFall.
Yes.
Posthumous.
Pass.
Green.
Pass.
Mr. Chair, you have 3 yeas, 0 nays to pass. The H1 substitute for House Bill 5272 is adopted.
Now we're going to vote on House Bill 5272 as a substitute with recommendation. Will the clerk please call the roll? Oh, I need a motion for that. Representative Putsky makes that motion.
On the motion to report, Chair Liberati.
Yes.
Representatives Pohutsky.
Yes.
McFall.
Yes.
Posthumous.
Pass.
Green.
Pass.
Mr. Chair, you have 3 yeas, 0 nays to pass. House Bill 5272 is reported for recommendation as substituted.
All right, Representative McFall is going to offer a substitute for House Bill 5273.
Thank you, Chair. The H1 substitute for House Bill 5273 makes the same changes that we just discussed, but for a candidate's spouse regarding their employment. H1 also requires a candidate who files their statement of organization after the financial disclosure deadline to submit their financial disclosure report within 15 days of their statement of organization. I move to adopt the substitute HB 5273.
Representative McFall moved to adopt H1 substitute to House Bill 5273. Can the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion of adopting the substitute, Chair Liberati.
Yes.
Representatives Pohutsky.
Yes.
McFall.
Yes.
Posthumous.
Pass.
Green.
Pass.
Mr. Chair, you have 3 yeas, 0 nays to pass. The substitute for HB 5273 is adopted.
Representative McFall makes a motion to report House Bill 5273 as substituted with recommendation. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
On the motion to report, Chair Liberati.
Yes.
Representatives Pohutsky.
Yes.
McFall.
Yes.
Posthumous.
Pass.
Green.
Pass.
Mr. Chair, you have 3 yeas, 0 nays to pass. House Bill 5273 is reported for recommendation as substituted.
Representative Putsky moves to vote House Bill 5274 with recommendation. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to report, Chair Liberati.
Yes.
Representatives Pohutsky.
Yes.
McFall.
Yes.
Posthumous.
Pass.
Green.
Pass.
Mr. Chair, you have 3 yeas, 0 nays to pass. House Bill 5274 is reported with recommendation.
Now Representative McFall moves to vote out House Bill 5275 with recommendation. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to report, Chair Liberati.
Yes.
Representatives Pohutsky.
Yes.
McFall.
Yes.
Posthumous.
Pass.
Green.
Pass.
Mr. Chair, you have 3 yeas, 0 nays to pass. House Bill 5275 is reported with recommendation.
All right, next we're going to be voting out Senate Bills 382 and 383. They're identical to the bills that we voted out of here 2 weeks ago. I have one card to read in. Supporting the bill, Christine Suave, Michigan Immigrant Rights Center. Representative Pahutsky makes a motion to report Senate Bill 382 with recommendation. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to report, Chair Liberati.
Yes.
Representatives Pahutsky.
Yes.
McFall.
Yes.
Posthumus.
No.
Green.
No.
Mr. Chair, you have 3 yeas, 2 nays, 0 pass. Senate Bill 382 is reported with recommendation.
Representative McFall makes a motion to report Senate Bill 383 with recommendation. Will the clerk please call the roll?
On the motion to report, Chair Liberati.
Yes.
Representatives Pahutsky.
Yes.
McFall.
Yes.
Posthumus.
No.
Green. No. Mr. Chair, you have 3 yeas, 2 nays, 0 pass. Senate Bill 383 is reported with recommendation.
With no absent members and no further business before the committee will stand adjourned.